So the title of this one is called Banquet Settings, and I'll read the title poem. Banquet settings for none, not too far afield, box of recall, a margin of excess and borders of emptiness, like night sky or vacant blue of noon. Some real life stored in the cupboards, decorum of wind whistling through missing leaves, winter or summer or another time of year. So many of these poems in this book are short, more lyric poems. Abstractions. Abstractions of a quest like a tour of a soul disembodied through purgatories and a given of the hunt, the promise of new patterns, syntaxes, inquiries, illusions, practical jokes, and sex. Think. How do they recur as we once experienced them, positive and negative? At night they're asleep by the fire. Each look, walk, song, a disconnection, wash, was sounds, birds, winds. 16 years with an absent cackle, raven brain, a knob without a house, place to toss seeds, rotten fruit, dead flowers. Okay, I'll read a couple more from this one. This one's called Office Settings. Started a polar expedition. So this first couple lines are extracted from Freud's book of Civilization and Its Discontent. Office Settings. Started a polar expedition with summer clothing and maps of Italian lakes. Hundreds of talk sessions led you back here where you began. An office setting with O'Keeffe pelvis print, self-consciousness reduced to bone, about but not about, slippery surfaces, slack hands, space unadorned. Mute tumult of brain, murmur from an empty shell, first flies. This is called Waiting at the Station. Vision. Crisis. With baggage, language of inquiry, art, life, process, searching for patterns, I find myself terminal paradox, taking Eurostar from Venice to Milano, en route to Frankfurt, read many times the tension of infinite beginnings, Rilke, a connective tissue drawing to a close, maps, Roma, where some thought and language come from, interpretations and revisions, 30th Street station schedule board glitches, delayed 2 hours or canceled, move from one compartment to another, dream allows for decompartmentalization, train moves backward, what do I believe in? The clock stuck on an hour of isolation seems like an extra means of loving yourself. I have all the time in the world. Now the window is dark, one day begins, another ends. And one more one from this is just called Poem. They've seen you on the other side of the wall, gazing at the stones and birds of appetite. Their razor-edged beaks shred the remains. Forget about saddling that horse. Diabetic foot, we will fight privatization of the system. When you have nothing, even a run-in with disease is welcome. Where'd you go? In a jeep on top of a cliff, Department of Aging, jumping on a bed. Okay. So I'll read from this book here, which is called Not Far From Here. And I'll read a couple from here. Poem. Remember Richard Diebenkorn? He's still important. The far west at dawn is Diebenkornesque. I took refuge once at its glassy edge. A boulder teetered on a crest. All I ever wanted was anything except what common sense dictated, to be Burton but not speak, Robert A. Burton, M.D., or Robert, brother of William I. I'm over here in Shantytown without a CVS. All my friends live in one city or another. When the wind blows, I'll lie to you. It won't matter who says what to whom, no blame. Hey. In a borrowed apartment. In trying to escape by changing the subject or presenting a blank look, gradually I came to value the awkward stage when what we aspire to seems harder than we thought. Who's this we? Eating nothing is easy, so is the empty glass or a full one. We're meant to go hungry. There's that moth again, part of my life. I must return this purloined ash to the Western Territories, I mean the library, where you are listed as a street, Eli Planet. So I guess I'll move into some newer work. This one is called Rooms, and it came about after reading through a biography of Mark Rothko and some of his letters. So I kind of did a variation on something that he had written. Rooms. I have dusted off my old answering machine and I'm going through the fires of purgatory, having walked the plank for the past 2 weeks between typewriter and canvas. As Keats said to his brother, we are in separate rooms, reading from the same book like blind bodies. This is called The Party. I conceived a form of address which was recessional, multiple, and open-ended, like a wall-eyed luminosity inset in the wainscoting of rooms, where Rhonda Fleming had complete control over me. Did that have anything to do with the moist brownies I had eaten earlier? Überhaupt, she said. To contemplate a wall at which sick people had for ages been eating their spittle. No sense keeping tabs on mere good behavior. Too painful to go outside for the shifting white of winter faces, exchanged for the duration against mirror of sky. A thicket of newsprint muffled one's attention focus. This one is called the Arnold Stang Fan Club newsletter, and I had this sort of character in one of my other poems that a reference is this comedian, mid-century, 20th century comedian. He was based in Brooklyn and had a lot of oddball antics and so forth. This is all my life, surrounded by all-knowing big city types. In my family, if you used 10 words instead of one, you weren't trying hard enough. I'm kidding, of course, but there is a lawn where a reference book turns its pages to my factless